here today for this webinar, AWS webinar. It's just all about people who are on this journey trying to switch their career, or people who are already in tech trying to look at other things like cloud. So obviously AWS, that's what I know for now. So we put things together to have this webinar, and just to give people more information about what cloud computing is all about, what DevOps is all about, and what AWS Solutions Architect is all about. And if you're on this journey, you're trying to do your training or whatever you want to do, career switching, you just have to follow the right path, and that will get you to that wherever you're going to. There's loads of jobs in cloud tech, it depends on what you want. So that's why we are here today. It's just a webinar, just to get people to understand from each other. Some people are learning, some people have got their certification, some people are doing the job. It's just mixture of people, different backgrounds, we have here. So I will start with Mr. John. I call him Mr. John. He's been my mentor, and I've known him since 2008, Mr. John, isn't it? Mr. John?
Yes,
please.
2008, yeah. 2008, yeah.
Yeah, so he's a lead architect, and he's here today to talk us through with his slides about this cloud journey, especially on training and certification, and how anybody who is here, if you're trying to get your certification or your training, some tips and what everybody have gone through who is training, just to inspire others. Yeah. So we've got Mr. John here.
Could you help me make me co-host so I can share the slides?
Well, yeah, I do that now.
Oh, good morning.
I'll stop sharing, then you can share.
Okay. No, you have to make me co-host. Okay.
It's on now.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Hello, guys. My name is John. Before I went into cloud computing, I was a regional manager for different companies, and I've never been into IT. At the moment now, I'm a lead AWS solutions, and this is based on Pascal. Now, I was years ago, 2008, I gave Pascal his first job in the country, and I've known him since, and obviously helped him become, supervisor, get to uni, and move on. And he's now done well in building this IT cloud platform and encouraging others to do it, because this is really amazing for people that can go into this industry and earn a lot of money, okay, and also be in a position where we're in high demand, no matter where you are. If you've just come from Nigeria, if you've just come from any other place, if you've never worked before, or if you've had experience, it doesn't matter. This is very good for you. So I just want to give my experience and make you understand that anyone can really do this. It's just about how determined you are. Okay, that's amazing. So if you can see my screen, I put a screen up. Please just type 2 on the chat box, guys. Type 2 on the chat box. I really want this to be really interactive. I want us to really understand the power of what we're doing here today. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Habib. Thank you, following. Thank you, West. Thank you, Toby. Okay, so what does the Digital Group Consultancy Limited do? So for those who have not done the exam, or about to do the exam, or about to do the job, what we do is, cloud computing, AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner, AWS Certified Solutions Architect Associate, and DevOps Tool Basic Training. Now, I've done in the past SAP. I did it, how we do it back in. I did it in 2010, and you didn't really get a job from that. I did project management, didn't really get a job from that. However, this certification. This is a technical certification with the support we get from Pascal and for all other people. Queen is not here. CJ, I don't know if CJ is here, but there are people that you get the support from, which enables you to not only pass your exam, but thrive in this industry. If you want to earn anywhere between 300 to 1,000 pounds a day, these are the certificates. And did you know that the AWS Solutions Architect and Professional is the #1 IT certificate in the world in 2023 or 2022? It's the #1. Meaning, if you get yourself qualified and have experience and follow this, you're almost guaranteed a step on earning more than 10% of everybody in the UK, not Nigeria, in the UK. That's more than 10% than the average person in the UK. You'll be the top 10%, literally. So this is changing lives, okay? Now, there's so many jobs that you could do while you're doing this, okay? And so, AWS Solutions Architect, pre-sales, AWS Solutions Architect, post-sales, AWS Solutions Architect, security solutions, networking, database architect, engineer, cloud. There's so many jobs you can do. However, when you're going through this training, you know what which you're more comfortable with, and you just thrive in. I know some people have done this training, they now really want to do cloud engineering. I know people focus on SQL database. Me, myself, I like AWS Solutions Architect, you know? And it depends. And after 4 weeks, you will know which one you want to be. Okay, and also you can have consultation with Pascal or whoever you want to speak to, and they will actually show you which one is good for you. Okay? So, the training and service commitment for Amazon AWS could last up to 7 months or more. Okay? Now, again, this depends on how determined you are. My story was I made sure I put myself in a position where I was desperate. Okay? It didn't take me more than 3 months for me to start to finish to get a 6-figure salary. 3 months. But it depends on how hard, how determined, and how well you're ready to listen. Okay? Learning management systems and materials will be delivered third-party providers after all costs. Cloud practitioner solutions have been paid, in addition weekly to one-to-one membership. We design our training so that all our mentees will learn at their pace as long as you have internet connection. Okay, so all payments will be included, exam practice, papers, cheat sheets. Remember, this is a journey from getting one place to the other. Now, if you follow the road, the blueprint is easier. When people divert, then that's the stories you hear. Oh, it didn't work for me. This IT is too difficult, you know, back and forth, back and forth. However, I'm telling you, this is a guaranteed way of success. And a lot of our people, a lot of Nigerians here in the UK are jumping on this. And I believe by the time in the next 5-10 years, we'll take over the market. Now, you have 3 months training for exam preparation, 2 months for solution architect training, your cloud CV writing job. Now, the CV for me is very important because, so when I got my job, okay, as lead solution architect, the one thing I looked at was the projects I was doing on my CV. That's what caught the eye. And obviously with these guys, you know, and Pascal and the rest of them, they know the project that people are looking at for people to attract people's eyes. You know, one project could be like Kubernetes, another one could be cloud formation, another one could be different kind of projects that people are looking for, which is the in thing. And these things will help build your CV. Then also they can encourage, you know, labs, ensure that you understand what you do. So when you come through the interview, you sound, you know, like a professional. You have interview preparation. That one interview preparation is amazing. Oh, guys, I need to encourage you. You really need to do this. I cannot say this highly enough. For the guys who haven't done this part, I'm not going through this journey. This part, I'm telling you, is the most challenging part. Is the one that will now show, are you ready to earn more money than you earn most of your life? Are you ready to be in an industry where you now have a skill that will pay you for the rest of your life? This will be because you want to get inside the door. This interview preparation is very important. You have training support, 5 months, one-on-one training support, coaching, mentoring. It's amazing. All this stuff, you guys really should jump on and do it. Okay? And training roadmap, weekly hands-on AWS labs for each student. Labs are very important. So labs are like when you have a real life scenario and you're just creating an environment for a developer. And you can actually do it yourself, so that when you now get to the job, it asks you, have you created, for example, Elastic Beanstalk environment? You say, yes, I've done it. I did it on the, in what environment you did it, and you already know the answer because you've done it before. So it helps you with your job, your roadmap, and also with your job recruitment, and actually when you're doing the job as well. Okay? Weekly AWS IT assignments for IT and non-IT backgrounds. Lab topics, which is tailored towards the training. You have cloud CV writing, including 1 month one-on-one training, coach, mentorship, and you have, it can be 1 hour per week or 4 sessions within a month. AWS work-based experience projects 1-to-1. You have coach and mentoring, including online videos. It's amazing. And guys, I really cannot stress enough, okay, how amazing this place is. So what I'm making you guys understand, this is where I want to pause this now, and I'm going to say things that are going to challenge you today. When you guys see an Oyibo person or a white person coming to tell you they got £5,000 to buy a course, and everyone starts rushing towards these people, it's very frustrating because you're training to be certified. But you'll never get that job most of the time. You have to do something else. From beginning to end, you start this journey and you say you're determined, no matter what. It's almost a guarantee you're already in that industry. We need to now take faith in our own. Just because somebody is not telling you, because his name is not Richard Smith that grew up in Bedford, I'm telling you, this works. So guys, I want to challenge you today that if you are here because you really want to get to the next part of the stage, follow this process, okay? Now, we have the training cost payments. I think it's 2,500, which is discounted. I know people pay 5,000 for this because remember, like sometimes your first check can be, when you get the job, it could be anywhere between 5,000 to 15,000 that month. I'm telling you guys. Okay, I have some people have interviews for 700, 800 pounds a day. Okay, some people, you can now imagine when you have an interview and they will tell you it's 70,000 pounds a month, a year, and you're telling the person that is not my level. I mean, imagine talking like that. This is the level you're going to put yourself into. So if you want to enter or you want to join with the big boys, you want to join with the big boys, as they say, this is what you got to do. If you don't want to do it, please stay with the small boys. You understand? Option A, one-off payment, cloud practitioner exam voucher. Option B, installation payment, 70% upfront, 30% due before the cloud CV writing. Payment details will be included. Client form, terms and conditions, and refund policy documents. Payment validates your place in the training, okay? Very important, interview preparation. This is what is my best part, interview preparation. This is where you understand when you want to get the job. Oh God. Imagine now you're talking head-to-head to solution architects. You only just started a few months ago and you're now talking to them. And you say something that, wow, you are amazing, you know your stuff. This is what the interview preparation are about, to enable you to become that person, to talk on an interview like you know what you're talking about. You have job offer, onboarding support, 1 hour weekly meeting, flexible days, Monday to Friday, 4 sessions within 1 month, job reference, third party, okay? Guys, thank you for today. Thank you for joining. If you guys are very interested in becoming a solutions architect or be part of AWS, I highly encourage you to jump on board, listen to what everyone says today, and I'll see you guys at the top, and I'll see you probably in one of your roles, and we can liaise together. So take care. Thank you, Pascal.
Thank you for your time. Thank you. Thank you. So we have Folarin, who's going to take us next. How you can survive on your first role. Somehow you get into that role as a DevOps engineer or as a solutions architect or whatever in the cloud. When you join, it's quite nerve-wracking. for 1 week doing that job, I will probably sit beside that person or whoever it is, or one of the team members, to get that confidence for the first week. Then you start driving on your own. So let's get Folarin, please. He's gonna talk us through how you could survive this, journey. By the way, so Folarin is a solutions architect. He's a senior solutions architect.
Hey guys, can you hear me and can you see me? So, tips on how to survive on your first role as an AWS solutions architect. I'm not a DevOps engineer, so I'll just stick to an AWS solutions architect. Okay. So, as John said, I resonate entirely with what he said from the beginning to the end in terms of your earning capacity, your ability to grow, and the other courses that are out there that will just give you, the icing. They're not going to give you the whole how to get your first job. They'll just give you the training, the basic training, and they're not going to give you the meat and bones. They're just going to give you a bit of flesh, then you sort yourself out. And I had a training course, met a friend, he's on the chat now, but shout out to Amos, and we were like, okay, dude, how do we do it? Introduced me to Pascal, and despite training, I realized that, okay, there are a lot of things that I still didn't know. I had a basic understanding of the technicalities, but I didn't know how to actually verbalize them. I didn't actually know how to, tell a story with, the projects I worked, as a project, and I met Pascal, we went through the CV, went through the interview process, and it was beautiful. It's life-changing, and I was getting interviews from back to back to back, and it was one of the best feelings I've ever had in my life. Starting a job, I realized, okay, the cloud, everyone's talking about the cloud. However, companies haven't yet moved to the cloud yet. They're still on-prem. You still need to understand some things, how on-prem works and how the cloud works. And, I liaised back and forth with Pascal and told me, listen, you need to know these things. You need to know these things. So going forward, what I realized that, okay, I can't just, have my solutions architect associates and be thrown in with the sharks. That would be, it would be devastating. I won't have any idea on what to do and how to survive. So we came up with these, tips. So first things first, I would say mentorship. Pascal acted as a mentor to me, as a good friend, and we still talk, and we still go back and forth on different things. Oh, Pascal, how do on-prem work? How does this work? How does that work? Either he refer me to a book, or okay, go on Udemy, learn this, learn that. I spoke to other people as well that were in the industry and had gone far ahead of me, and I got inputs, and I got tips and tricks on what to do. Also, second point, soft skills. Develop your soft skills. Develop your communication skills, listening, asking questions. You need to understand some certain things. Speaking to your different colleagues. You realize that when you're a solution architect, you do a lot of talking. I would say about 80% of your work is communication. So you need to speak to your business analyst, speak to your product owner, speak to your product manager, speak to your DevOps team, speak to the senior stakeholders, speak to your team. And in each of these cross-functional teams, you're using different languages. You're trying to explain your solution, try to sell your solution. And some people are techies, some people are not so techy. So you need to really understand how to communicate, your soft skills, your body language, how to talk, how to accommodate people's ideas, how to manage expectations, all those soft skills. And learning these things, Pascal introduced me to someone else, a guy, Michael Gibbs. I saw Michael Gibbs and I realized, okay, Pascal referred me. When I told him, oh, I subscribe to this group as well, he said, fine, fantastic, go there. When I started attending Michael Gibbs's calls, he is a seasoned solutions architect. He's worked for Cisco and he knows about the cloud, and his techniques and how how he speaks, is amazing, and it encourages the students to learn how to talk, interview tips and tricks as well. So as I was learning from Pascal, doing my own self-study, I was gaining that experience, gaining that knowledge. Understand the basics of solution architecture. Okay, what is the solution meeting? What exactly are you provisioning the solution for? Understand the basics, understand the meat, understand the bones. How are your resources communicating? What are the requirements of the business? Understand it from a business point of view, understand it from a technical point of view. You need to understand all these things. It's not just designing availability zones and your VPCs. No, it's nothing like that. You need to really understand from the business point of view, what are the requirements that your business is trying to fulfill. And you as a solution architect, you are stepping back and say, okay, this is it. With the knowledge, okay, it has to be scalable, it has to be reusable, it has to reduce tech debt, it has to do all these things so that you can come up with a solution that is very good, performs very well, and it doesn't cost the company too much money, or it's optimized basically in terms of cost. So you need to think about all these things. Learn continuously. Like John said, solution architect professional is one of the best IT certifications you can get, point blank period. And as you go on your journey, you realize that companies not only are they using AWS, they're using Azure. Azure is a Microsoft solution, and it's a Microsoft product. And you realize that in every company you have Microsoft products, Microsoft Office 360, Word, PowerPoint, and you realize that for them to get a cloud or use a cloud vendor that can integrate seamlessly, they will just prefer to use Microsoft. So I've started to realize AWS is big, it's massive, it's still the market leader. However, Azure too is picking up. So as you go out there, you begin to learn and understand that not only should I just specialize in AWS, let me learn Azure, let me learn GCP, let me learn about security, let me learn about data, let me learn more about the IML. You have to keep on learning, you have to keep on developing yourself, and you have to get your hands dirty. Hands-on experience, John has said it, your labs, understand everything from, not everything, but understand the whole process, the whole end-to-end process. Even when, even from a DevOps point of view, my first job I got was like an infrastructure architect, and we pulled code from Bitbucket. I used infrastructure as code, Terraform, built the code, deployed my resources to the environment, saw it, validated it, then pushed it back to the branch and forwarded it back to the master branch. So all these things help. And when I go into these, I can easily say, yes, I have an understanding of, I've used Terraform before, and I have a good understanding of infrastructure as code. And these experiences begin to give you confidence and begin to enable you to go for jobs that you thought, I never thought I could get this job. Next thing is networking and collaboration. Network with other solution architects. Go for events. Go for AWS events. Seminars. Go for cybersecurity seminars. Understand things that are trending in the industry. Collaborate with other people. Talk to people. Network. Even if you don't have a card, collect cards from them, and just try not to be an island. Try not to isolate yourself and say, oh yes, I have my associate, AWS associate, so I'm gonna talk to you. No, you need to actually mingle, understand what the market trend is saying. If people are people are focusing on containerization, try and learn containerization. People are focusing on migration. Let me try and learn more about my migration, and try and learn more. Document your journey as you go along, as you do projects. Document your journey. We did this project, we did this, I played this role. Always remember, what did you do in that position? What did you do in that role? I did this, I presented a PowerPoint to X amount of people. These people in a PowerPoint, I showed my as-is diagram, and I showed my 2D diagram. What are we using now? What are resources we're using now? What are the resources we are going to use in the future? Document them, document the pros and the cons. It costs more, it doesn't cost more, all those things. Document your journey, document your life, even your labs, and put it from a first person point of view. I did this, I did XYZ. Problem solving skills. This goes back to understanding the basics. Learn how to solve problems. Go on YouTube. There are loads and loads of videos on instances where the content creator is showing you how to actually build the solution, why they're using the resources, how it connects, how it communicates, just understanding how to solve the problem at hand. And the last thing is time management. As you go on your journey, definitely many of you would, if you're not already signed up, many of you would sign up, and you would understand that, listen, it can get hectic, it can get technical, it can get very, very rigorous. Have time for yourself, have time to go out and learn other skills. I personally, I'm part of Toastmasters. So Toastmasters is a public speaking forum where you go out and just speak, learn how to speak, learn how to talk, especially in front of people that are more knowledgeable than you. You realize that you start to build confidence. So with all these things, I'm hoping that you guys would be armed and equipped to actually go out, knowing that even as you get your associate certification, I know most of you will, there's still room for development. And we are in I don't mean to bust a bubble, but you're in an industry that changes by the day. So you need to learn and develop. You never stop learning. So with that, I'm not going to take too much time. Thank you. And Pascal, thank you. John, thank you. I resonate with everything you said, and thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Falari. Thank you very much. You made mention about somebody, Amos. So he introduced the both of us. So I wouldn't fail not to recognize him. He's on this call, and he's a wonderful guy. Since I met him, we've been getting on well and everything. So yeah. CJ.
I also noticed Osha has joined. Shout out to Osha as well.
Osha, yeah. He's one of us as well. Solutions architect. Yeah. So we have CJ on the call as well. CJ, if you're here, please make yourself available for your own presentation, please.
Yes. Hi everyone. Well, Jason Ejiofor, that's the name on there. And
yeah, your screen.
People like Pascal prefer CJ. Yeah. Well, I'll be talking to you guys through a few slides actually. And Fola and Mr. John had said it all. Let me share my screen.
You can see your screen now.
Oh, great, thank you. Yes, well, as I said, it's quite straightforward. So I'll be talking you guys through a few points as with regards to CV writing and the services we offer leading up to your interviews and possibly the first few months of your new role. Hopefully for those that will be patient, not to run off halfway. Yeah, so we have a team that specializes in producing professional CVs that suits any given role. And these roles can easily be determined from the direction you choose to go going forward, probably within the first 3 months of your training. One thing to know is everybody can do it. I've got no tech background, not at all. BSc Political Science, MSc International Relations, and today a solutions architect, gone past probation, doing well, and looking forward to my first promotion review by January. Yeah, so we have a team that will do whatever you believe is an amazing job when it comes to CV writing in tech. And as Fola pointed out, when you put the CV out, you get more traffic. I can assure you that. Like, I did a ton of applications, and at the peak I was having up to 5 interviews in a day, you know, and it's a journey that started from nowhere mid last year, and I decided to bury my head within what I wanted and focused on getting the certifications out of the way. There are days when I felt like, as I always tell Pascal, I feel like an empty vessel, because you spend 3-4 days to 1 week, and trust me, you won't remember much, you know, but by the time you start to do the hands-on, most things begin to make sense. It takes a while to sink in. It's not an easy journey. Whoever tells you it's easy is deceiving you. So you have to be ready. Consistency, commitment, and dedication are the only 3 things I believe can push you through the line. But yes, in terms of providing a CV that will make way for you, we have a great team that will do that. The project preps, the projects on your CVs are next to none. You know, these are projects that are well crafted to suit your given role, on whatever given role is placed on the project. And the key thing here, as Paula pointed out as well, is the hard work that goes behind the scene, from the mock interviews to using our CV study template, which gives you like more like breaking down everything on your CV down to simple definition of terms, so you'll be able to answer whichever questions that comes from a recruiter when you hit the ground running. Sorry, I just carried on talking without putting this on presentation mood, but I'll do just that and carry on. Yeah. So yeah, as I've mentioned briefly, the things we focus on are primarily helping you get your head around your CV. To be fair, it could easily take you 4 to 6 weeks to really understand a detailed professional IT CV, especially if you decide to do it my way or John's way. John kind of broke a record, and we look up to him now. So if you can match John's, it's still possible. I never thought anyone would beat my record very soon, but what I mean by record is I started within, when was that? June last year, finished my DevOps and Solutions Architect trainings and starts by November. Started interviewing from 1st of December. By 8th of January, I had a job. And at that point, I had 3 offers, so I picked the best. You know, so but John came and amazingly blew everybody away in less than 3 months. So everything is possible. I know how he used to sound when he called for the interview preps and all that. Looking at him sounding all confident today, I don't even recognize him anymore. So that could be you. You know, the key thing is to make you understand everything about a position, whichever position you choose, because the amazing part is that the training setup allows you to apply for possible 7 different roles. So your CV can easily be different from every other person's, you know, because primarily I feel so far record shows we break into the solutions architect and DevOps way faster than some of the other roles. And the mentoring side of things supersedes every other thing. I just didn't want to read through the slide in case you're looking at that. Yeah, but it's just pointers to what I'll be talking about. You know, the mock interviews are way more important. I had my fair share of brutality from Pascal. He turned off the camera on my first mock interview and he wasn't friendly. Like at the end, he was just laughing at me, but that was a big wake-up call and I turned up the heat. Today is a different story, you know. So the key thing is not just mastering the projects on your CV. A few other projects can be given depending on how fast you pick up the explanations and details of your actual contribution to a given task to the project. We can also provide a few more just to help you stretch it should you be fortunate, as I'll put it, to meet an interviewer that decides to ask you for something outside of what you have on your CV. But the bedrock of everything we do here is mentoring, holding your hands and walking all the way till at least that anxiety of the first 30 days starts fading away. By the time you find your feet, the cause will subside. But trust me, there's this kind of strange sweat that you can experience within your first 7 days if care is not taken, that you'll be better off in the shower than experiencing such sweat in the office. But with a team surrounding you and ready to always jump in and save the day, that first 1 week of anxiety will be easier. Sometimes it drags to 30 days, don't get me wrong, but it's possible. And to summarize, if you're serious to make the leap, you can. I've come from a non-tech background, completely knowing nothing about EC2 instance, to actually mentoring people today, being literally forced to sign the full contract within 5 months of my working with my current employer, because I maintained that hunger, not just getting a job and feeling comfortable. Amazing pay, as John said. Yeah, great. You can easily swing into the 10% top earners in the UK. And my problem now is the second job I'm looking for, no longer the first one. So if you're committed, if you are hungry, you will get there. We're here to support you. Was it in June or so? I was very happy to turn up at the AWS Excel O2 conference, and I met people that looked like me in a venue with over 5,000 people. You could count how many minorities are there. And when you narrow the minority down to Black people, trust me, we're just a handful, So it will be great to see more of us coming into the sector. And the pond is so big for everybody to swim in. So not just you guys on here today. If you have friends and family, tell them about it. Nursing is a good career, don't get me wrong. Healthcare is a good career, but trust me, how about sitting at home at the comfort of your home, saving petrol and making 7 figures? I mean, I wonder what beats that, Just to rub it on John's face a little bit, he thinks he's the boss now. My company treats us like celebrities. We travel everywhere on first class, Your company might be flying you guys private jets as well. So there's a lot of money to make in tech, but it starts with your determination to say, I want to change this story. A lot of sectors pay very well, but trust me, a little bit of comfort while you're making the money can't go wrong, So I'll move on to my final slide, and again, you can read what's on the slide, but I prefer to tell you more like a conversational pattern, So what I would say as I close for today, or as I bow out, would be, what's stopping you really? It's never too late. Start. I have 2 Indians that I'm mentoring today. My grandma probably speaks better English better than one of them, and she's in an amazing company and she's getting paid to learn, because she's not delivering anything 2 years in now, So you can start from somewhere. You must not start and maybe get the 7-figure job, but just get in there, even if it's service desk, even if it's a receptionist, but let it be in IT. Trust me, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. So try, make up your mind, join us and have the soft life. That's the best way to put it. The pay comes in and you smile, but remember, it won't be easy. With dedication, commitment, and hard work, above all, the hunger, would push you through the line. And we're here to support you. When John got his job, I remember telling Pascal, I knew he would get his job, because when he told me he had no plan B, I knew he's going to make it. So success is an uncomfortable position. Get used to being uncomfortable and join us in this journey. So thank you guys. I'll catch up with you guys later.
Thank you, CJ.
Cheers.
So it's my turn now to talk.
Hang on, I need to stop sharing first.
Yes, I need to share my. Can you see my screen?
Positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's going to be based on difference between solutions architect and DevOps. So some people might be wondering, oh, when I finish this training, when I do these certifications, what will I be doing as a job? So you could start doing solutions architect, you could start doing DevOps, depending on what you want, another one. So for me, I did solutions architect for a bit, but didn't really enjoy it. Not because I don't like it. I wanted to get my hands dirty, so I upskilled myself to DevOps. I have other people that I trained with that went into solutions architect. It's not bad, it depends on what you like. Then I'm just going to talk through about it. And when you're on the job, there are some things when I did my training that I don't really understand. And one thing I said is mentoring and knowing how things work in IT. Say, for example, this one is tickets. Some people say, oh, what would I be doing at work? So I took a screenshot of this. This is how you get your task allocated depending on the environment anyway, maybe agile, whatever. So you have a ticket, maybe if it's 2 weeks that you have to deliver all of this. This is what the ticket looks like.
Yeah, I can see it now.
Yeah.
So this is what ticketing looks like. So you could use Jira to get your ticket. You're assigned to any engineer, whether you're DevOps, whether you're solutions architect, your name will be somehow here. And you do whatever the task has been given to you, if you can do it. If you can't do it, you look for help. So that's what the ticketing looks like. And this is what Jira looks like for people who are not in tech. And this is how you get your work given to you. What else do I have?
Pascal, sorry to cut you. Could you do your PowerPoint a full screen? Because the tests are very, very tiny. We can't see it.
Is it better now?
Yeah. That's it. A lot better.
Yeah?
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, we can read it. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah. So this is what the ticket looks like for people that haven't seen it before. This is what it looks like. So you start from to do, in progress, code review. If you're writing code for developers, you finish, you're done. Then that's for when you get your task given to you. Can you see this other one again? Okay. So that is for the solutions architect design, and then you have what you can do as in designing solution for a customer. Then you get your requirements from the BAs. You do your HLD, LLDs. You have to know your services, and you do something called proof of concept to show that what you're proposing is actually working. Then when it comes to DevOps, you have other tools that we use for DevOps, which is infrastructure as code. You can see this now. Can you see this?
Yeah, let's go on.
Yeah, okay, so this is a CI/CD pipeline. So when you write your for people in DevOps, when you write your code using CloudFormation or Terraform, which is automation, you run like a pipeline, which helps with the deployment. So this is the CI part, and you have the CD part, which is the deployment part. That's about it for DevOps. Some people who are trying to find out the difference between solutions architect and DevOps. But you find out when you start working or doing the job. Yeah, that's all I have for today. I think Chinye, you're next.
Hi, my name is Chinyere Oswafo, and I am a cloud practitioner certificate holder. Is that how they say it? I done my exams in June 2022, and the plan was to try and strike into the market as soon as possible as a solution architect. Unfortunately, that has not been my story, because somehow I think I've just been stalling, and yeah, maybe coming to this meeting this evening has kind of made me have a rethink about what exactly I want for myself before next year, and I might just be taking very critical decisions. Anyways, so today I shall be talking about IAM. Let me see. There's I can share my screen, yeah?
Yeah, we are there now. Yes, we're there. That's it. Well done.
Okay. Okay. So I'll be talking about IAM today, and IAM is one of the tools that you will find on AWS. It is mainly used for control security or security purposes. It also is important for granting access to your resources in AWS so that you do not have hackers getting into your account. AWS, when you talk about IAM, you talk about the service that has to do with authorization and authentication of your AWS account. Authentication has to do with your identity. As you can see there, you can just break it up into identity and access management. So I'm going to try to break it down as simple as possible, because I remember when I was writing my own cloud practitioner exams, there were some things that were coming up in this topic that I just could not relate to. Now that I'm preparing for my solution architect examination and I'm reading it again, I think I am beginning to understand what exactly was required of me. So sometimes you can actually write an exam, just cram most of things, go pour it out, and you pass. Some of us are good at that. But by the time you probably sit down and they ask you questions, you might not be able to explain it very well. So I'll try to give like the dummy version of this topic today. So let's break it down into identity, and then, so when you think about identity, think about authentication. So you're trying to authenticate your identity. And then access management has to do with the authorization. What is that authentication going to be able to do? What are those permissions supposed to do? The identity has to do with who are you, your identity, that's authentication. One popular thing that you're going to be hearing when you come across this topic is security credentials. And when we hear the word security credentials, we're talking about those certificates or those credentials that you need to be able to log into your account. Now, the major ways to access IAM are by the management console, the CLI, and the API or SDK. Through the management console, for you to gain access, you need a username and a password, just like your Facebook account, your Instagram account. So think about it as the easy part, the non-technical GUI display page that anybody can go onto and just see. That's the English part of AWS. Anybody can just open it up and you can understand it. So all you need is just a username and a password. Now, to gain programmatic access, now it's becoming more technical. You will need access keys. And access key will give you access to be able to get into the API and the CLI. Access keys consist of access key ID, access ID, and secret access keys. Secret access keys. Something else that is also important to be able to access the management console is the MFA, which is the multi-factor authentication. For that one, you will need your phone to download an app that you can use to gain an authenticator to verify, just like your bank account, where you're sent a code, an OTP, and then they tell you, okay, this token is used for a very short period of time, log into your account. That's basically what it is. So those are short-term, short-lived credentials. You just use them for a very short period of time. Think about it like a card that is given to you by a friend. Let me say like a hotel card, your friend's room card. She gives it to you for you to be able to go into her room, use the gym, use the restaurant. But once she comes back, she needs her card. You can't access it any longer because that's just a temporary thing that you're going to be using, to enjoy those services that you want to enjoy. Then we get into identity. I'm going to try to break down the identities in IAM. The first one is the users. But before we get to the users, let's talk about the root user, which is the super account that gets to sign you into or log you into your AWS account. For you to be able to get into your AWS account, like I said, you need a username and a password, and there's an email address which you will use to log in. Now, one of the best practices of AWS is do not use your root user account to always access your AWS account, because some people could use it to mine Bitcoin. If you accidentally expose it on the internet, or if they hack into your account, they can use it to do any divisive actions. So you're advised not to use your email account or your root user account all the time. The best way to sign into your AWS account is from the root user. You create users and then you give them different permissions to be able to access. Sorry, where am I? I should be on the next page. I'm so sorry. Okay, so these are the users here: Bill, Steve, Zook, Jeff. These are the users of your AWS account. Imagine this is the AWS account. So from this account, users are created. So let's say Ashish Patel is the root user here. He's the email address that has created this account. Now, the best practices of IAM is Ashish not using this root user account to always sign into AWS. He should also have a user or an alias that he's used to sign into his account whenever he wants to access his resources. And through the root user anyway, the root user has full permissions to carry out activities on AWS account. The root user is able to carry out account budgeting. He's also able to create users. He's able to grant permissions. By default, a user doesn't have permissions when you're created. So you have to be granted permissions by the root users. Then you can now access AWS resources. Moving on, we will go on to groups here. So by groups, just as the word says, it means that the users are organized into groups, and then they are given accesses through something called policies. So if you see these ticks here and X here, it's signifying policy. So policies, we move on to policies. Policies are permissions that are granted to users, roles, groups, and through the policies, you are able to gain access to use AWS resources. Something else that is here is the rule. But let me not jump too fast here. Policy is quite a vast topic, but I'll try to break it down. The best ways to create policies in AWS. When you get into the AWS Management Console, you will see policies. Whenever you open the policy page, you see a series of policies. Now there's this particular one that has like an orange icon beside it. Those ones are like AWS managed policies. They are designed by AWS, so AWS controls those policies. You're not the one that has created them. There are also the customer managed policies and inline policies. Now, from these three policies that I mentioned, the best policies for you to use are either the AWS managed policy or your own customer created policy. That's if you know what you're doing with policies, not just going there and trying to create policies. But the best way for those who are beginners to access the management console is by using the AWS managed policies. Those ones are already created by AWS. They are free of charge. You can easily access them. So policies can either be identity-based or resource-based. And for your identity-based policies, they are attached to either groups, users, or roles. Okay. The resource-based policies, just as the name says, are attached to resources, such as your S3 bucket. So your S3 bucket policy is a resource-based policy. Okay. Some other policies that were not, sorry, I wish I had another slide that breaks it down here, but some other policies that are also available are permission boundaries, which are limited. They're granted to users who want to access AWS resources, so that there's a limitation to the amount of permission that they can actually access. There's also service control policies that are associated with organizations, and there's also another one called session policies that has to do with I've forgotten what it has to do with, sorry, I can't remember. But there's also session policies. Here on this slide, I think I've spoken about most of it, but one thing I haven't touched about on this slide is federation users. Think about federation users as if imagine you're working in a company now and you have like a Microsoft computer, and from your Microsoft computer, you're trying to access your AWS resources in the office or AWS resources in the office. All that has to happen is an administrator has to grant permissions through something called a single sign-on mechanism that allows you to sign in from your Microsoft page or your Facebook page or whatever. So federation users are outsiders. They don't have AWS access, and they don't want to create AWS accounts. So somehow, through the single sign-on policy, they are able to sign into AWS accounts, and they can now access AWS resources. But it's really temporary for a very short period of time. That's how long they can use the services. So the credentials are short-lived for federation users. One of the good things about IAM is it's a free service. It's also PCI DSS compliant. If you're working in the bank, you probably heard about this one before. It has to do with security. And yeah, that's it for IAM. There's also another one called rules, which is quite complicated. Most of the time when they start that conversation, it starts with rules are very complicated. Rules, basically, if you see the sign or the icon for rules, it has a hat. Sorry, I'm just going everywhere. Maybe I'm just tense. I have to learn how to do better presentations. But rules have to do with delegating permissions to AWS resources, or to users groups, so that they can access AWS resources. Basically, you cannot do anything with a rule if there's no policy attached to it. Once a policies attached to a role, then the person can now assume the position of whatever this hat, the user that is granting him permission to do whatever services he wants to carry out to do. He can now like take permissions and then carry out whatever activity he wants to carry out on AWS. But the permissions are very short-lived. Yeah, that's the major thing about roles. And yeah, that's it for my discussion today. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions?
Not sure. I think Vivian wants to go next. Lewis, just bear with Vivian to go next. She's got other things to do. So Vivian is going to talk us through about VPC, which is Virtual Private Cloud. Is a security service / networking service in AWS. So, Madam Vivian, over to you.
Hi everyone, good evening. My name is Vivian, and currently I work as an IT support engineer. And I'm going to quickly tell you, run you down on my tech journey. I've been everywhere trying to learn how to get into tech. I've been training for over 1 year. I've trained as a business analyst. In short, I've tried everything. So one of these days I was on the training, and it was actually a Python class. I was learning how to write some code on Python because of scripting, and somebody who is so much interested in cloud. And my husband happened to be on the phone with someone. I still don't even know his name. It's funny. And he said, "What is your wife learning?" My husband was like, "Oh, Louis. She's learning everywhere." Oh, Louis. Oh, sorry. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. And that was how he introduced me to Mr. Pascal. And I spoke to him, and he was like, okay, he first of all, he interviewed me. He wanted to know where I am and how to help me. So he found that I was a bit of everywhere, but I know some things. So that was how the journey with Mr. Pascal started. And I'll tell you, I'll kid you not, in less than 1 month meeting him, I got a job. I was supposed to go straight into cloud, but I told him, no, I'm so scared. Like, when you don't believe in yourself so much, I told him, let me start from IT support engineer. And he did my CV, he revamped my CV, and I applied for 6 jobs. He said, Vivian, why just 6? Apply. I said, no, let me just hear from these 6 first. When I'm done with this, I move to the next 6. And I got a call back from the first 3. And the first one, they wanted me to come in for interview on site. I couldn't come. And the next one was more like a discussion. I discussed with them and they gave me the job because my CV was too great. And when I started the job, I had some other couple of interviews that had to do with cloud and DevOps. But I know why I didn't get the job, but I did very well. And Mr. Pascal know why I didn't get the job. It was basically because I was talking a lot about cloud, but I needed to know some things on-prem. And I'm so glad for I'm so grateful for this job I have right now, because I'm currently working on-prem with on-prem servers. And the next interview, I should be able to get a job as a DevOps engineer. So I'm going to be talking you through on VPC.
I think Chinyere needs to stop sharing so that you can share. I think there's a problem with this sharing business. Oh yeah, now you can share now.
Okay. Yeah, share. Okay, what should I be sharing? Should be PowerPoint. Can you guys see my screen, please?
Yep. You can see your screen, your VPC, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So what is VPC? VPC on the Amazon Web Services is called Virtual Private Cloud. So we use VPC to launch instances. You can launch your instances of virtual machine in an isolated cloud. This is like, coming into a house where everyone have access to, then you have your own room that is your VPC, because everything in your room is protected. It's like the first step towards having a secure cloud. The first thing you should do is to have your own create your own VPC. Because when you create your own AWS account, you have a VPC which is created by AWS by default, but it's not advisable to use that unless you're practicing. You should learn how to create your own virtual private cloud. So everything you're creating on the AWS cloud will be isolated and it will be secured. So we have some things that are dependent, some of the dependencies on VPC, which we have the IP addresses. So when you create your VPC, the subnetting comes in. You subnet your VPC, you have the private and the public subnets. So the private subnet, that is the place you launch your resources that you don't want them to have access to the cloud, to the public. You're securing them, you don't want the public people to have access to it. And the public subnet should be where you want to, route your table to the public to have access to the internet. So we talk about the route table. I've just said a bit about route table. You by default, when you create your VPC and create your public and private subnets, by default you have a default route table. But you should create your own route table to route your resources, the ones you want to have access to the internet, which is the public. Then we talk about security in the VPC. The VPC is already secured, but we have other security. Every step of the way on the AWS cloud is secured. We talk about the network ACLs, and we also talk about the security group. So security group is how to route traffic, the inbound and outbound traffic to your the resources in your virtual machine. So the next slide here is this is the console view of what the VPC looks like. So here we have the VPC, we have the subnetting. I've talked about subnetting. We have the route tables. We have internet gateway. So when you want your resources to have access to the internet, we have endpoints, we have elastic IP addresses. So elastic IP addresses is when you launch a virtual machine, your virtual machine have an IP address, which is like a default IP address. So that IP address is not static. So what it means that your IP address is, let's say you want to get to google.com. So when you're typing www.google.com, that is the information you're sending to your computer. But what your computer is getting is an IP address. It's calling the IP address, which is static. Because if Google changes that IP address, when you go to www.google, your computer will be confused. You will get an error. So this is where you get the elastic IP address. Is a static IP address. You get it for your website and it doesn't change. So anytime you stop your virtual machine and you want to increase the size of the virtual machine, and you still put in the same attach the same elastic IP address. Whenever people want to go to your website, whenever people want to access your website, they can access it through the same IP address. I don't want to go into IP address. It's such a very big and deep topic, because you have CIDR range, there are a lot of things about IP address. When you come on board, you're going to learn it and you're going to be a guru. And we have NAT gateway, and NAT gateway is when you want your resources in the private subnet to have access to maybe the internet, maybe when you want to do some patches and all that. That is how you route through the NAT gateway. We have the VPC peering. I've talked about the network ACLs. That is like a security resource for you to protect your VPC, the resources in your VPC. We have the security groups. I've talked about the security groups. You have customer gateway, you have VPC. So we have a lot of things. These things are like, this topic about VPC is very deep. And but it's something you can learn, because it's something that I learned, and it's not something you're going to learn in a day. But I kid you not, when you get into this journey and you fall in love with this journey, you're going to keep learning. And I've tried. Sometimes I wake up, I be like, this just 2 weeks ago, I was telling Mr. Pascal, this cloud thing is hard. I think I want to go into project management, something very much easy. Like I want to get a good job. After discussing that with him, I'll go back. I'll be like, no, I don't think I can do any other thing apart from being a DevOps engineer, because I really want to make a lot of money. And I like getting my hands dirty. I'm someone that is very technical. I don't like easy things at all, because the hard things pay better. So when you come on board, you're going to learn a lot, and trust me, you won't regret this. Meeting Mr. Pascal has improved me. It has built my self-esteem. It has helped me in my job. And I like the fact that he pushes me, because I can become lazy at times when it comes to when I'm overwhelmed and I'm tired with, struggling with job and family and all that. He's just somewhere by the side telling me, Vivian, you need to get this. Vivian, you need to do this. And I'm so grateful for, knowing him and being part of this. Thank you all for having me tonight. And I can't wait for all of you to come on board and join us to eat this tech money. I'm not eating it yet though, but I'll eat it soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivian. Thank you very much. So we have Lewis. He's
sharing.
Yeah, stop sharing. Lewis is now AWS Solution Architect certified. He's bagged his certifications already, so he's just ready to go. Lewis, over to you, sir.
My name is Lewis. Currently, I work in the healthcare sector. But January this year, I said to myself, you know what, I want to get into IT and I want to know what is it they are doing. That was a very tough decision, because where I am currently, I'm a bit comfortable. But it exceeds being comfortable or about money or income or how much you get. You get to a point where you ask yourself, how does these things really work? In the healthcare sector, you take pictures on a scanner, you send them on PACS. Someone in Australia is reporting the scans you've just done. And you're wondering, how does this whole thing play out? That's my starting point. That was my why. I wanted to know how things work. How will I be able to do things on my computer where I am and someone else is getting it? That was my driving force. And when I started the journey, I thought it was something I could learn in a month and then get over it. But when I started, I realized, okay, this is a different world. So you have to go back to the roots, start afresh and work on it. It's been a very exposing or eye-opening journey for me. And I'm always grateful to Pascal, because at times I come back and I'm trying to study. 12 a.m. I send him a message, he replies. One day, 4 a.m. I sent a message so that by the time he wakes up, he would see a reply. But immediately I sent the message, I got a reply. I was like, don't you sleep? But that's what mentorship is all about. And I'm grateful for the opportunity. There are a lot of training out there. They will tell you, oh, we'll give you mentorship, we'll train you this one, that one. And the moment you pay your money, that's it. They give you LMS, online training, and that's it. You struggle, just sort it out yourself, figure it out yourself and all that. But I understand a lot of us are just transitioning into health. And just like in every sector or every industry or anywhere you go into, there's nothing as privileged as having someone that can always tell you exactly how things are, break it down to your level of understanding where you can absorb all this information and utilize them. Second, I wanted to say thank you to him for trying as much as possible to bring in as much colored people or black people or even Nigerians into the tech field, because that's basically what I see him doing. Once you show interest, you're a black person, he comes after you personally, motivates you, inspires you, tells you all sorts of stories to make sure you're always on track. Thank you, boss, for that opportunity. It's not something that you can find easily.
Thank you. Well, you listen though. You listen to the instructions.
Yeah. And of course, I come with a lot of questions. Thank you for your patience with me. I know I can be very troublesome at times. Yeah, thank you. So, Another feedback is giving people 20 minutes on this topic. I don't think it's enough time to do justice to all the topics, but anyway, we understand time constraints. A lot of people have just come back from work, trying to rest and all that. So Vivian has done a very great job. Evelyn CC, very beautiful job. Mr. John, you've done a beautiful job too. Yeah, there's nothing like being with people where you can, express yourself, ask questions, and grow together. It's a very good opportunity, and I appreciate this platform. So let's get on to the topic. The topic today is I'm covering EC2 instance. EC2. Anywhere you go to EC2, everything EC2. I sat down one day and I said, what is EC2? My class is going to be very interactive and funny. You can laugh if you want to, but that's just me. What's EC2? Everybody EC2. I wasn't even into tech. I was just discussing with a friend about the idea of trying all this tech thing out. And it's like, the first thing you learn is EC2, and everybody says, what is EC2? So when I started the journey, when you start the journey, the first topics you go through IAMs, all those basic things, and when you come to EC2, what is EC2? EC2 basically is a product, AWS product, and they've decided to name it EC2. Let's break down the EC2. E, elastic, compute, cloud. Okay, good. You want to do anything in IT, the first thing you talk about is a computer, right? The word compute is derived from computer. What's a computer? Machine. Accepts input, processes it, and gives an output. Basic. That's what a computer is. That is what compute is. Elastic means you can provision it, and it's on its own, it can expand or reduce based on demand. And cloud, simple, is renting or hiring somebody's facility to provide compute service that can dynamically scale or shrink. Elastic Compute Cloud, that's it. So why do we need Elastic Compute Cloud or EC2 instance? AWS have decided to call it Elastic Compute Cloud. We also have other vendors. They call it whatever they call it, but they all perform the same function. Whether Azure, whether GCP, Alibaba, Tencent, they all perform the same thing. Allow you to run compute services over the cloud. That is what EC2 is. Where can we use EC2? You open your mobile phone, click on your bank app. It shows you a page, you do your transaction, it goes. But don't forget, there's something called a server that hosts all that information at the back end or at the bank. You just type in whatever you want from your app or your computer to access that thing. It's just making your phone communicate with those applications that are hosted on their servers. So, a company, an organization, they can host their app on EC2. You can do other things on EC2 but for me and a lot of people, the basic and most interesting thing about EC2 is what we call a sandbox environment. A lot of people call it lab, where you can practice things, where you can train yourself, where developers can experiment. Those in cyber security, they do a lot with an EC2 instance. You launch it, you do a lot of hands-on, so many things. With all this being said, EC2 is one of the bedrock of cloud services, not just in AWS, in Azure, because whatever you want to do in the cloud, you need a compute service. So for this reason, EC2 is very, very important. No matter what route you're going to, being a solutions architect, whether you're going into database management, whether you're going into cybersecurity, whether you're going into whatever sector you want to go into, machine learning, AI, anything you do, having a very good understanding of EC2 instance would put you ahead of so many people. It's not about cramming or knowing how to provision it and all that. Having a basic understanding what it is, how it works, how can you build it, how can you design, would put you ahead in the tech world. I can tell you that. So let's look at the anatomy or the components of an EC2 instance. Like I've broken down to you, it's basically a compute service. What does it mean? Accepts data, processes data, gives you an output. That's what compute is all about. So let's talk about the structure. What do we need to provision an EC2 instance? First, on the cloud, you have your VPC. Some people can be so very busy, they have a lot of things doing on the compute cloud, they have so many EC2 instances. How do you identify and differentiate one from another? That's where the instance ID comes in. No two instances will always have the same instance ID. Another very important thing, IP addresses. Like Vivian said, IP addressing is a very broad topic, and it's not something would go in depth in because of time restriction, but I'll be as quick as possible. Every instance, being a compute or a computer, definitely has an IP address because computers communicate to each other via the IP address, just like our telephone numbers. If you don't have a telephone number, no one will be able to reach you, even if you have a telephone. If there's no line in it, no telephone number, no one can contact you. Exactly like that. You can have a telephone number and decide to say, okay, I want to make it public. I'll broadcast it on my social media platforms everywhere. Everyone can have access to me. Or you can decide to say, okay, I want to keep it private. I want to have it, but I don't want to communicate to anybody. That's what the private IP address is. DNS. Every EC2 instance would always have two DNS names, the private one and the public name. So what does that do? What's a DNS name, if you can see my screen? If you want to access a website or access anything, you go into your phone and you type in on your browser www.nhs.net, because it's easier for you to remember nhs.net or gov.uk. You type it in, it goes. But what actually happens behind the scene is your computer uses a service called DNS service to convert that name you've typed into an IP address of whatever server is hosting that address. That's the essence of the DNS name. You can have it locally. There's a local DNS name. If you don't want to make your server public, you want to use it just within your VPC, they can resolve using the private DNS names, or the private. If you want to make it public, you can use the public DNS name. Now, next one is the instance type. If you want to buy a computer, what do we look out for? You want to know what brand? Do you want to buy a MacBook? Do you want to buy a HP? Do you want to buy whatever brand, Lenovo and all the rest? Okay, aside that, yes, what's the memory requirement? What's the RAM? What's the storage? What, all those bits. That's basically synonymous to what instance type are when you're trying to create an EC2 instance on AWS. Vivian said something about SSH keys. There are two ways to access your instance when you provision them. You can go through the management console, access your instance, do whatever you want to do on it. That's fine. Some more experienced people like developers or even other applications or other services that might want to access your instance, and you have created I'll put it like a security barrier that they must go through, or a security check that they must go through to make sure this is the right person accessing this your EC2 instance. That's when they will need what we call the SSH key. SSH simply means secure shell. The keys to access your secure shell, the access key, made up of the access key ID and the secret access key. The next feature we'll talk about for the instance is security group. Just from the name, security group. What are security groups? Just like on your personal computer you're using, there are firewalls. So what are firewalls? Firewalls are what will I say? Devices. It could be hardware, it could be software that will put in place to filter things we want access to or we want to block. And there could be different types of firewalls. They have the hardware firewalls that they use in data centers and all that. But because of advances in technology, we have the software defined firewalls. Okay, those are kind of firewalls you see on cloud. When I got into AWS, I had a knowledge of firewalls. I was expecting to see a device or that. Everything on my head was, hardware part. But unfortunately, I realized most of the firewalls, or all the firewalls you work with in AWS are software firewalls, and there are different types. You can have stateful, stateless. But the particular firewall that we use to secure an instance is the security group. They have other properties that makes them applicable or more resourceful or useful in using them to secure your instances. So basically what they do is, with a firewall, you configure what we call a rule, which every firewall has. Okay, I want access to this, I don't want access to this. Just like when you're having your private parties, you get a doorman and you say, I want people to come in based on their IV. If they have the IV, let them in. No IV, send them back. That's basically what the security group does. Now, the next one is elastic IP. I talked earlier about IP addresses. IP addresses are just the means through which computer communicates. Computers don't know names. You just type, connect to Pascal's computer. It doesn't work that way. But if I have his IP address, I can interact with him. So, we already saw public IP and private IPs. Private IPs are static IPs. They are configured to a particular instance or a particular type. But public IPs, in as much as they attach to an instance, they are not seen by the host of that instance, which means they are not really attached to the instance. If you stop an instance and start again, it's gone. So they are referred to as dynamic. But when you have an elastic IP is a public IP, but it doesn't change. That's what the elastic IP is. Depending on what you're going to use your instance for, if you're developing an application or a website or something you want to run on an instance, and you're expecting it to have a lot of traffic, a lot of people will visit it. For example, the website or the server hosting the website for Big Brother Nigeria currently is going on. So people are trooping to the website to see what's happening. There's high traffic. But after the show is over, the traffic would reduce. Is that correct? Because a lot of people, nothing happening, so they don't want to see. So what we can do is, this period where we would have a lot of traffic coming in to see the website and see what's going on, we use what we call an elastic load balancer. What it does is, as the traffic comes in, it can help us deploy those apps on different backend servers, so that as the traffic is coming in, it distributes them to different servers, so that a particular server doesn't get too much load and probably fails or crashes. So that's what a load balancer is. at this point, I want to draw our attention to something. When you're studying for AWS, know that the names to all these products were given to them by people just like us. When they are designing them, they say, oh, what does this thing do? Okay, let's name it according to this pattern. That's just it. If you understand what each one is, the function it does, the name will give you a light, basically what it does. Nice and easy, very simple. So that is it for Elastic Load Balancer. There are different types, complex, we can't go into them now. The application load balancer, classic load balancers, gateway load balancers, and network load balancer. Sorry?
I thought there was a
So the next
no, sorry. Am I talking? Am I?
Yeah, you can mute yourself, please. Yeah, the next thing we'll talk about is EBS volume. I want to ask you a question. Can you go buy a computer that doesn't have a hard disk drive or a means of storing your data on your computer? No. So EBS volumes are just a means, a storage, mass storage device that you attach to the compute services or the compute service. It will store or host the operating system which the compute service will use to run, and it would also store any other information you install on that compute service. So it's the storage for information that you attach to your compute service when you provision. That's it. So EBS snapshot is a feature of EBS volume. EBS volume is just a hard disk, a software version or a virtualized version of your storage that you attach to the EC2 instance when you're launching. EBS snapshot is just a feature of EBS that allows you to take what we call a point in time snapshot, like a picture. This is every information on this EBS at this point in time. Once you take a snapshot, it's just like you're cloning, that's the word, making a clone of your EBS volume at that point. So that's what EBS snapshot does. And what it does is, the main advantage of the snapshot is it helps you. For example, you want to create that particular instance you have. Okay, that instance is hosting a particular web server, but you want to create another version of that web server in a different availability zone. Probably you heard, oh, there's something going on in AWS. There might be issue with this availability zone. You want to create another compute service somewhere or another zone and transfer everything you have on this compute service to that availability zone. With an EBS volume, you can do that, easy for you. Once you take the snapshot of the volume, you move it to the availability zone, use it as the EBS volume now to create another instance. So we can see it's a very important feature of EBS volume. Then next, what is availability zone? Is long name, availability zone, available zone, any zone that's available. No, that's not it. Availability zone is just what AWS decided to call their own, each of their data centers. Okay, let's not use the word data centers, let's call it availability zone, which means a zone where we have available resources. That is it. Easy. If you come into AWS or you're doing anything in cloud, not just AWS, anything in cloud, there are always availability zones where you can provision whatever resources you want. S3 bucket, EC2 instance, whatever service you're doing is going to be provisioned within an availability zone. 2 or 3 or more availability zone makes up what AWS calls a region and all that. Those are the basic first few things you learn when you start your journey on AWS. And the next thing is right scale metadata. Okay, metadata is just a way of identifying or tagging some resources, description. Say for example, you want to, after creating your instance, you're trying to tag them or put other features that makes it easier for you to identify them or group them and all that. So another important feature of EC2 instances are operating system. If you have a computer without a functional operating system, that's dead. It's not going to work. So operating systems are basically software or programs that allows you to interact with the hardware component of the computer. Made up of system architecture, kernel, RAM disk images. All these are just components of the operating system, which is one of the things we do on the hands-on part. Because of time, I'll just skip over. Those are the important ones anyway. Different types, just like a computer. If you go to your computer, you want to buy a computer, you want to know if it's Intel Core or AMD type of processor, what features does the computer have? That's what the Graviton and the AMD is. What processor does it possess? And now compute, there are different type of features or instance type. We can have some that are general purpose. Anything you use them for is fine. There are some, if you have a requirement that makes it necessary for you to have a computer with high storage, you use the storage optimized. If you want the one with greater computing power, like they use for high processing computing, then you use the ones that are optimized for compute services. So basically, this is a structure which everybody in cloud needs to know. How do you identify a particular instance? You see long name, T3 micro.this, and a lot of people get confused. How do you identify your instance from the name? The first one talks about the family, which states if it is Graviton or processor, basically just telling you the type of processor that will be running your compute service. The next one is the generation. A particular processor can have different generations, just like we have iPhone 14, iPhone 15, iPhone 16. You can have Graviton generation 1, generation 2, 7, all that. Then the next 3 letters attached to that talks about the attributes. Okay, it's this particular product of this year. Does it have any additional features? Is it optimized for compute services? Is it optimized for this? Is it optimized for that? And after the dot, anything after the dot really just talks about the size. Just the same way we have, for example, you have we call it VCP in vCPU in compute. There are different types and they refer to, depending on the requirement, then you decide on which size to use. Basically, that's just it. I'll share the slide with everybody. You can go through this. It's very simple. We can't talk about EC2 instances without hands-on. It's going to be pretty quick, 5 minutes. So basically, when you're trying to launch your instance, you come to AWS. If you have created your AWS account, you can access it. If you come to the home, let's just be fast, okay? See EC2 instance. It's basic. They might not explain. They might not call it Elastic Compute Cloud and all that.
Lewis, hold on 1 minute.
Go in there.
He's trying to demo something for people, like the hands-on part of cloud. So if you're not sure, you just have to do some labs on the console, which is the lab environment within the AWS environment.
Just to,
yeah. So it's just
to show.
Yeah.
I know some of us don't like CLI, some of us don't like any of these, but there are basic things you should be able to do on AWS. If you say you are trying to learn cloud and you want to go into cloud, no matter the area of cloud you're going into. So from here, you can see I already have 2 running, which are practically labs from my training, but those ones are side. I will not go into that. We'll just launch a fresh one to show you how easy, how quick is it. It's just for somebody to show you how it's done, and that's it. And you know what each stuff is for. That's the only thing. It's very, very simple. Some people will make it look very big and all that, but once you understand, have a good understanding of what each component is and how you can use it, that will be it. So if we're launching one, we'll just go very self-explanatory. Launch EC2 instance. That's all you need. When you launch, okay, we've talked about different properties. How do we know a particular instance? We start by description or the name. What do we want to call it? No. So let me just call this test test VM1. Okay, we talked about the OS. Like you said, if you're buying any computer, it has to come with an operating system. We have Windows, we have Linux, we have Mac OS, different operating systems. There are some that are used for server, depending on the purpose of what you want to use your compute service for, you can decide. But I'm just going to stick with Amazon Linux because it's free tier eligible. So based on the hours I used before I'll be charged. For now, it's going to be free, so I'm happy with that. The description of the kernel talked about. Kernel is the basic or the most fundamental part of the OS. For me personally, I liken it to the nucleus of a cell. When you hear of a cell, that's the nucleus, the central part. We also talked about instance type. Like I said, there are different types. You go to buy a computer, you want to know the RAM, you want to know the storage, you want to know what it can do and all that. You see that from all these. And again, I would go for the free tier eligible type. We talked about key pair. Key pair is just the access keys, which we talked about. If you want to access your EC2 instance from the secure shell SSH, or you want to give access to a service or another application to access your instance, that's what you need the key pair for. I already have one, so I'll just choose that. Here it talks about the network setting. What VPC do you want your instance to be in? What region, what area do you want to assign public IPs to it? You want to use a security group. Do you want to create a fresh security group, or you want to use already existing one? I'll also pick already existing because I have most of these things already set up, and we're trying to catch up on time, so there's no need trying to display. Another property is you need to provision your instance is the memory. We talked about is the storage. We talked about that. So you just decide what type of storage you want, how many gig RAM and all that. What type of storage you have, the general purpose, HDD or HSD. I didn't go into details here because of time, but basically it's just the storage on your physical computer. That's what the storage does for the cloud. Then advanced details, nothing really much. But to save time, what I'll do is just run a script in here in my user data. So everything will go as the instance is provisioning. We don't have to start doing all this all over again. Right? So that's it. I'll log into the instance.
What he's doing is trying to, so we've written a script. So this is a bash script. So it's not for everybody though. You don't have to learn how to write the bash script before you can do this. For system admins, that's their job. So everybody will have to do their own bit. So that's a bash script trying to run on a server. So just like the way you write the code and you put the code on a server to host an application. So that's what he's trying to do. So he's launching an instance and he's trying to use that to run the script, and it's a HTML script.
So this is up and running. We can see it here, test VM. That's the name I gave to identify it. This is the instance ID. You can see there are multiple instances here already. So how do we differentiate aside the name or the tag? Basic thing is to use the instance ID. We can see the instance state. Is it running? If there's a problem, it might not be running. Or if you stop it, let me stop one of the old ones. I can stop this one here. So you see the instance state, this is running, this is stopping. So it's just basically telling you what state is your instance. Some people could have up to 30-40 instances running in a particular zone, that will be based on the requirements for their business and all that. So I still have this one coming up, and it might take some time because it's initializing with the scripts running with it, so it's still coming up. So while we're patient, we can look at other features. What region, what availability zone is this instance running in? Where did I set up this instance. We talked about, okay, let me come here, make it better. We talked about the private and public and private IP addresses. We can see them here. This is the public, this is the private. If I stop this instance and run it again, this is going to change, which means it's not static. It's changing, it's dynamic. That's the public IP. But the private IP address would always be there. So if you copy this, okay, we talked about the DNS name. This is the DNS name there to resolve this particular instance. This is the private host name. So the other features of it, the security details, if we go there, you'll see the security group, and you can even go further to see other details, access group ID and all that. You can see the networking configuration, which has to do with IP addresses and all that. Which other thing to talk about? Storage, yes, this place will tell us about what I provision, the EBS volume I provision to run with this instance. That's what we're seeing. Size is 8 GB here, and it's showing that it's attached to the instance. Status check, where we see is it running, is it going all fine with this particular instance. That's where you see monitoring. There are ways we monitor the instances on the computer, just like you go into your tax manager on your computer to see what's going on. Is it functioning well? Is it, what processes are, what's the load on this compute service? You see all of those are from monitoring it, just like the name. Tags, like we discussed. If I want to tag this particular instance, say I use it for development and testing, I can tag it. So everybody that's probably in the group of dev testing can access this. I can tag it DevOps and edit some features about it so that only those in the DevOps team can have access to this instance. That's basically what the tag does. Or for costing, you want to, you can tag it so that there's a way you group instances with particular tag, so you see where their cost or their billing is going to. That's what you use tagging for. So let's head back and see if there's something with this. Let's begin. So it's finished, and it's finished initializing and it's running all fine. We can see from here it's passed 2 out of 2 checks, which means the instance is fine. And if you take the public IP, you check. That's it. That's an instance.
With the script that says, welcome to AWS EC2 class.
If you have other, depending on the content of the script you run on your compute service or your server, basically that's all you need to host the website or to host other complex applications and all that. But this is the foundation. This is how simple it is. Every other thing is just going to build on this. That is what the compute service is. And I will just go back. I know I've taken so much of your time, but that's what I was saying to Pascal. 20 minutes is basically, but it's an introduction class. If you're able to join our mentoring group, we have meetings like this, we talk about things. I'm still a student. I still ask questions. A lot of people still come to me. We share ideas. We exchange lectures. That's the essence of being in a mentoring group. It's not about the course. Tomorrow, if you get a job, you run into challenges, LMS will not bail you out. You need someone, you pick up your phone and you say, see, I'm trying to do this. I'm having a challenge here. What do you think? How best can I go about it? That's what being in a group is, where you have people you can speak to. People you can say, come, see, I need a script, I need this Terraform, I can't fix it, I can't figure it, can you help me? They call you. I'm still a student, I've not gotten a job, but a few people still say, oh, Lewis, this thing, what do you think? How should I go about this? What do you think about this one? That's what the group is, to help one another, to support ourselves, get what we want. Me, I want to be an IT guru, and I'm already there, courtesy of my boss. So please feel free, join us. So many things to learn. But when you're with the right set of people, with the right mindset, with the right culture, they push you. Even when you say this thing I don't understand, you say like, go back and study. You know what's talking about. So that will be it for this evening. Thank you again for the opportunity for this presentation.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Some of you have my number. Feel free. If there's anything that's challenging you, call me. I'm always there. All right, boss.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you very much. You have Onyinye. Please, you're the best. I think you're the last.
Good evening, everyone. I'm connecting from Nigeria. Nice to meet everyone here. I can see that there are a lot of people in this presentation, and it is quite intimidating. Pastor did not want me that. There were people of Simba and Kadi that were going to be here today. But yes. I am from a supply chain background. Even though I studied SC management in university. However, at some point in time this year, I've also, just like Vivian, I would also say, I have been quite interested in people trying to join the state or transition area. And at some point in time this year, I had already spoken with Pascal sometime last year, actually, when I did the and he was trying to encourage me to come on board. However, maybe at that point in time, everything just sounded very deep and very confusing. So I was like, no, it's not for me. In fact, I had even gone to do SQL and Python, and I did not grab anything there. I've just been jumping. However, sometime this year, I just woke up and I said, you know what? After I had spoken with TJ, I just called TJ and I was like, I think I'm ready to do this thing. And he hooked me up with Pascal again, and then I called my sister. If you look through this webinar, you might see someone that looks like me. So we started running, and I started early August. I haven't yet applied for the exam, but so far, initially when I started, everything just sounded the language. So I'll call Pascal and I'm like, I don't understand these labs. I don't understand what I'm reading. I thought it just and suddenly one day, everything just started adding up. When I started doing my labs, it just started feeling like it was real. Maybe because I had worked in an organization that was using the cloud. I don't know, at some point in time, I'm not sure why everything was becoming more, realistic to me. And recently again, a friend of mine he's an IT person, but he does on-prem, IT, and he was talking about some applications, and I remember at some point he mentioned the VPS or a VPN, and then I was like, oh, okay, so if you're going to connect to the internet, you're going to have to use an internet gateway, and he looked at me and was like, when did you start speaking this type of language? And I'm like, don't worry, I haven't yet told you what I'm doing, but yeah. And then there was also CJ's WhatsApp post where there was this PC. Someone was asking this other guy, how did you become broke? And the guy said something about, I left an EC2 instance running. And I did not understand that one. That was also early August. And I was like, CJ, what's this joke about? And CJ was like, don't worry, you will grasp later. And finally, when I now read up and I understood it finally one day, I was like, I'm not CJ. And I'm like, okay, he did not he didn't turn on his billing alert on CloudWatch or something. I can't remember. And and he was like, oh, finally grabbed it. And then there was the issue of the INEC flop during the election here in Nigeria, which Pascal had said, when you don't worry, one day you understand that one too, what they were talking about. And I now got to CloudTrail and I'm like, okay, Pascal is CloudTrail, this CloudTrail that, we're exposing all these people. So over time, everything now started becoming clearer. Present today. I'm hoping that at the end of this discussion, my presentation will be as useful as the other people's presentations. Louis said all their presentations were beautiful. I'm hoping that mine will go through. So I'll just go ahead and jump on sharing my screen. Okay. I almost forgot that I was supposed to make a presentation. Please forgive me. Yeah. So my name is Onyinye, as I speak. Today, can you still hear me, please?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can see your screen.
All right. So yes, we're talking about the simple storage service S3. Actually, there are three basic options of storage on AWS. We have the S3, we have the EBS, and we have the EFS. The S3 is more like a storage system. It's more like an object. It's more like a bucket for an object storage for on AWS. Your EBS is like a block storage for your EC2 instances, and your EFS is like a file storage. Pastor, please, anywhere that I'm incorrect.
Oh, yeah.
I'm correct. I am still a baby.
No, you're doing well.
On this journey. Okay, so imagine that you and your friends are trying. Maybe people have like a project, and you're trying to create an application or a project where you can upload your files, your images, and this is made accessible to the general public. One service that you can use on the AWS platform is the S3 service. The S3 service is an object-based storage service, which is designed to store and retrieve any amount of data from anywhere on the cloud. Some of the features are that it's durable, it's scalable, and it's quite secure. Then we go over to the EBS, which is the elastic block storage, as we had mentioned earlier. And this one provides some block level storage volume, which you can attach to your EC2 instance. I think Louis had already mentioned this. So the block storage is, you can relate it to your hard drive on your laptop, basically, if we're going to just, in basic terms, because I like to break everything or make it as simple as possible for myself. So I wish there were lectures for dummies on AWS Cloud Practitioner, I would be the first person to rush that one. The volumes are very persistent, which is one of their features, and they offer different volume type optimized for various use cases. Another feature is the snapshotting, which Louis had also mentioned. I'm going to try as much as possible to be brief. And then we go over to the EFS, which is a fully managed file storage service that can be easily shared across multiple EC2 instances. Sorry if you're just joining us for the first time, or if you're just hearing about these things for the first time. Over time, if you hop on board, certainly you would grasp. I mean, if someone like me can be speaking or understanding these things little by little, anybody can understand it. And then finally, the S3 storage classes. This one basically is just talking about the S3 lifecycle management, which is a feature that allows you to define different sets of rules to automatically manage the lifecycle of your objects stored in S3. So there are two components of this management, and you have the transition and the expiration. It's just, think of it as if I create a folder, over time I can move it from one life cycle to another. So you start from the standard, and then because of some certain configurations, you're able to move it to different rules or different classes. And so you configure it in such a way that maybe say, okay, 90 days I want my file to move into the Glacier Deep archive or something. It's an inexpensive kind of storage. As I said, I'm still trying to understand all of these things, but I hope that I have been able to break it down. Pascal also said I'll be doing a demo, so I will just be doing a brief demo to give you some feel of what it is like when you are using an S3 to uploading an object in an S3 bucket, basically. So when we talk about uploading an object in an S3 bucket, it's like uploading a file in a folder. Uploading an image in a folder, just like on your laptop. That's basically what it is like on the AWS platform. So let us go over to
your console.
Yes, to my console.
So what she's trying to do, she's trying to create a S3 bucket and upload something inside the S3 bucket. It's just the hands-on part of it. You don't want to make it like boring slides.
Exactly. So I've just put in my S3 on my management console and S3 service on the management console, and we go ahead to click on it in order to access this information. So when you're on the console, you have the option of creating your bucket, which is like creating a folder for your image, for your files. And go ahead and click on that. And I can go ahead and name it my. So I was saying, imagine that you created like you're working on a project with your friends, and you're trying to upload images on a particular platform so that people can access it over the internet. You can use the S3 bucket or S3 bucket services. So we'll just call it my Pix Lake. I don't know. Maybe it sounds like Netflix. Unfortunately, okay, so you have your region. I'm going to be using the US East region 1. You usually have to select the region that is closest to you. But in this case, I'm using the US East region 1. All these other informations, I'm not going to be enabling any of them. So that is not really any of your problem. I mean, the S3 bucket service is a secure service. So you have the option of blocking all public access. Meaning that you can keep your information private within your environment. However, if you decide to click on this option, I think there's a trigger here that says just to confirm that you actually understand what you're trying to do. Make this information open to the public. However, I'm not trying to do that, so I'm just going to go ahead and disable this option. And then we have the bucket versioning, blah, blah, blah. So I'll just go ahead to create my bucket. And there we have it. Our bucket.
We created our second bucket. We created the first one, isn't it?
Yes, we created the first one, and I was excited. Like, oh my God, this looks like magic. So we'll go ahead and click on this particular information, and I need to upload my folder into this. So I'll just go ahead and create a folder first of all, which I would call videos, and I have created a folder. Now I would need to access this information. So if I click on this, it says I don't have any. Hold on, sorry. I haven't uploaded my folder. Please, as I said, pardon me. Okay, so I need to upload that information which I have just created a folder for. So I want to impute a file. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this video of my little nephew who I'm a little obsessed with. And there you have it. It's been uploaded. Okay, we go ahead and click on upload. It might take less than a minute to upload. Yes, and we have done that successfully. If you can see, I still need to click on this folder in order to access my information. Yes, so there's a URL link here in order for me to connect view this information on my URL. So I'll just go ahead and click on it. However, there's a denied information here because remember that we have blocked all public access. So that still stands. However, in order for me to access this, I can just go ahead and click on this tag here, which is open, and there you have it.
Oh, nice.
Royal. Yes, I'm done with my presentation now.
Oh, thank you very
But
much.
I'm very happy, so excited. Anyway, so
Thank you.
yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Lest I forget, I need to introduce somebody quickly. Julie.
Yeah.
All right, please show your face and introduce yourself, please, so that if you speak to people, people will not be confused who is Juliet.
Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm working with Elisa as a member of the admin team. So we probably use that sometimes to make sure that what we do. Okay?
Yeah, she's one of the admin team. She decided to join us this evening. Yeah, that's it really for the webinar. I don't know if anyone have any question or anyone wants to talk about anything. Just feel free. I know we've taken your time. Apologies. We had some issues, technical problems, but we've got the slides anyway and the recording. So I can share that later. If you need any explanation, just feel free to reach out. And while we're on the call, if you had any question, you can just ask questions. Thank you, everybody who did their presentation from beginning to the end. All these people have gone through this training, and they have experience of what it feels like to start and to finish, and wherever they are now, the job, people are still training, getting certification. But the good thing is that you have to have a path. You have to have where you want to specialize. You have to think of what you want to do. So, but we don't make that decision until maybe towards passing your cloud practitioner exam. Then we can decide, okay, if you're good at architecting or you're good at DevOps. When I met Lewis, I told him, I said, you're not going to make a good architect. You're a DevOps engineer. You know, he said, how come? I said, because you like to troubleshoot things. He works on computer every day. He goes on EC2 instance, he launches it. He has about 10 accounts. When I meet him one-on-one, he said, you know, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm thinking, oh my God. So he's really dedicated to the learning because he wants to learn. Sometimes he calls me at 4 a.m. and I'm thinking, okay, what do you want me to tell you now? I'm not the only one in the background anyway. We have other people, we have meetups. And when we meet up, we talk about anything and everything. You know, I spent all my Monday with him, you know, just talking about what we are doing and, you know, showing him things because he wants to learn. So if you have any question, just feel free to reach out, you know, and on the call, if you want to ask any question, just feel free to ask any question. It's open to everybody. If not, then we call it a day.
It's a pleasure, boss. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. It's just to get people that feel like they are less confident in this tech to be part of it, because at the end of the day, it's not a rocket science. You remember when you called me, how we all started? So it's just a journey.
That is on the call.
Yeah. So anybody who have any questions, just feel free to ask. If not, then so thank you everybody. Our presenters, Vivian, Onyinye, Chinyere, Mr. John.
Yemi.
Yemi. Oh, Yemi is a solutions architect certified now. Remember when we started, Yemi?
Yes, 7 months ago I did.
Yeah, and he made it.
7 months ago. And we're here now.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
That's okay, boss. That's okay. Thank you. Thank you. At least you listened as well.
Pardon?
At least you listened. You listened to the instructions.
It was, you didn't want to say I was slow at first, yeah?
No, I don't want to say that.
Yeah, so don't worry, I'll grasp myself in.
Yeah,
I was a bit slow with it at first, but at least we got it now.
Yeah, as time goes on.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go on. Who's that?
It's Gloria.
Oh, Gloria, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad.
Hello everybody. It's my first day. I'm just looking, and it's quite a lot of things to learn. But you're doing good. One day I'll get there.
Thank you very much.
I'm stuck with my Amazon registration. Is there anyone who I can contact later to help me out?
What Amazon registration? You mean on the console or what?
The console.
Yeah.
What? When you say console,
I'm
creating an account.
Company, and then I'm stuck with there's few things that they're asking. I actually don't know what it is. I just want to ask someone later, not like now.
Okay,
so I can get a number.
Okay, that's fine. I can give you anybody's number that you want me to give you. Lewis is there.
Can I get Lewis' number?
Yeah, Lewis. I'll send you his number. I'll send you his number. He's a gentleman.
Oh. Thank you.
Who is Yusuf Akin Noso? Kieran.
That's Dami. You know Dami?
Oh yeah, Dami, how you doing?
I'm alright. How are you? Long time.
Yeah. You're second line engineer, isn't it?
Correct.
You have the Dami girl and Dami boy. Dami girl is a project.
Correct.
Good to be back.
Yeah. You're back. You're back with us. Well, Kieran. Now, people should say hello to each other. MJ.
Yes, hi. Hello, Pascal.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very impressed, you know, and thank you very much. Various people, as they made it kind of a bit easier, especially the Lewis one. He really broke it down and said, "Oh, okay, all right, there is a way out then." Because I was, as I said, when I opened the first pages and things like that, I said, "Oh God, what did I put myself in now?" So the presentation was helpful, especially if we can get the.
Yeah, I will share the slides. I've got all of them.
Yes, they share the slides, and yeah, I mean, hopefully in 7 months or so, I shall be on the other side. Oh God!
You want me to be on the other side? Oh, but it's a journey. Honestly, it's a journey. I remember when we did our first lab, we did our first lab together, and we were clicking on something. She said, "Why are we clicking on this?" I said, "Don't worry, keep on clicking. As time goes on, it will make sense." Yeah, but it's a journey.
So yeah, I'm very excited to be on this journey, and surely I will get there.
Yeah.
So thank you for the opportunity, Pascal.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm losing a friend and I'm gaining a boss.
Yes, MJ, yes. I mean, you know, it's not easy, you know, but slowly you get there. It's not an easy journey. Toby.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Listen. It's quite late, so I'm gonna try to keep it short.
That's okay.
Listen, you're a great guy. I've never met anybody like you. I mean, I don't know how you do it. The passion you have for what you do. When I think it was Lewis, or I can't remember his name, somebody was saying he messaged you at 4 a.m. and you know I could relate to what he was saying, because he said he messaged you at 4 a.m. just so that when you wake up you would see the message and reply, but that you replied him at 4 a.m. And I remember that, I think it was last week, where I think I called you. I didn't even mean to call you. Maybe it was like 2 a.m. or something, and you replied. And I was like, this guy, So, I don't know how you do it, with your family and all that. But listen, man, you inspire me. And I know you've been on my case for a minute now. But now I'm sure you've seen that this time the energy is different.
Yes.
I'm definitely, gonna make some progress, and I still hope to be able to do the practitioner course before the end of the year. That's still my aim. I need to work on my labs. I'm just reading through stuff, and I'm not doing any labs.
Yeah.
I know that's something I need to do.
You will do it. I have 30 labs for you, so don't rush. You will get them. 30 labs.
Right. No. Yeah, I'll do it. Nah, well done. Thank you, man. Well done.
That's okay.
I gotta go now. Have a good night,
Okay, thank
everybody.
you. Abimbola da Silva. Who is that? Abimbola da Silva. And someone called
my friend. I invited her.
Oh wow. Thank you. Abimbola, welcome. And I hope you enjoy the session as well. Mr. Anyanwu, I don't know who that is. Mr. Anyanwu. MH. Who is MH? MH.
Okay, Pascal, sorry to interrupt you. Can I excuse myself and go?
No, that's okay, MJ. That's okay. All right then, guys.
Thank you, everyone, for your...
All right, Pascal, this is Bayo here. I know you'll be wondering. I'm using iPhone.
Oh, Bayo. I did.
Yeah.
Mr. Bayo.
Hey, Louis.
Mr. Pascal, you have a new person that wants to sign up. My husband is interested. He's here.
Oh wow, where is it? Show your face, Oga.
I will.
We are trying to drag you as well. Oga, show your face, please. Bayo, nice to see you.
Yeah. I would like to
Mr. Bayo,
everyone,
Mr. Bayo.
Especially the new people here. Hello, everyone.
Say hi, baby.
Oga, how you doing?
Mr. Pascal.
Yes, sir.
I greet you. Good evening, sir.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. Finally.
Yeah. Mr. Lewis.
So you're the one that
So wait. You won't leave me for this journey, but you won't leave me for a journey.
That is on the cup.
Pablo. Okay.
Pablo.
Don't do me this kind of thing, I beg.
Oh wow.
Huh?
Wow.
Please, I've told my wife, I'm really interested, but I'm just waiting for her to, fully integrate into the whole journey before I can
Pablo,
now.
I don't tell you this thing since now. Radiography, honesty, they sweet you.
No, not be that. With this thing where they listening to all your presentation, I was wowing. I was like, really? Now Lewis be this. I even did a record. I was like, this my guy wants to leave me. Ow.
Baba, me, I don't leave you finish, sir.
No wahala, they come. At least my wife didn't plan, no problem, I'm coming.
But you don't get wahala now. If you enter anytime, you know how to find me.
Yeah,
they run anywhere.
Definitely. Thank
you very
you guys
much.
are doing well.
Thank
you guys
you.
are doing well.
Thank you.
Papi.
Yeah, bye-bye.
My man, yeah, cheers.
Yeah. All right then, guys. Thank you very much, everybody. We call it a day.
All right, boss.
Thank you, Lewis.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
Bye. Yeah.